The funniest thing about Meghan Markle's deranged display in Montecito over the weekend with Ted Sarandos, the Netflix boss, is that she hasn't realized yet. You're the one being played, Meghan.
Your business partnership is collapsing. Your cooking show was canceled. Your brand lost its backer. And your place to show up at the man's house, grab his wife's hand and pose for Getty images like everything is fine? That takes a very specific kind of audacity, and nobody does audacity like Meghan.
They made sure that Carrie Mulligan did not come in until Meghan Markle had left. And she didn't want to leave. She was making everybody's life a misery because she wanted to be present because she's the Duchess. But no, honey, you have lost big time. That's how much Meghan Markle's stock has fallen. She was kicked out and Harry was embarrassed and apologizing to Ted Sarandos once again for his wife's lack of sensitivity or listening to people or following a simple dress code.
She is very, very worried, nervous. She's on the back foot. She knows Netflix is gone. She knows Netflix is moving on, and she's sort of freaking out about it. They know the gravy train is ending, and they're just doing anything as humanly possible to gain attention.
There are 44 official photos, one ultra-exclusive Hollywood mega event. And yet, Meghan Markle is caught completely isolated, individually photographed with exactly 2 people. Let that sink in. This isn't just a coincidence. It's a calculated PR disaster unfolding in real time. That one tiny glaring detail completely shatters the entire mainstream narrative being pushed right now. Forget the desperate, glowing headlines obsessing over her expensive designer dress for just a second. That's a cheap distraction. Because the real, brutal surprise of the night isn't what she wore to impress the cameras. It's exactly who she deliberately, desperately avoided appearing beside.
Well, Brittany, none of this was a good look. None of this was a good look. She looks truly deranged. We know what she's trying to do here. The problem is, Brittany, it changes nothing. The fact that Ted Sarandos wants her to try and promote beef.
I mean, she doesn't care about her reputation, does she? Or does she think that the Duchess of Sussex title can take on anything and nothing's going to happen to it? That title, it's already devalued, depreciated, and valued completely. How embarrassing. And no, Meghan Markle doesn't have a model body.
It is gross. And trust me, I know how fake Hollywood is. I know how fake the entertainment industry is. But Meghan Markle and the Sussex squad think this is a win for her. Think that this in some way disproves everything that has gone on with Netflix. It doesn't. All she looks is nuts. Totally crazy. Clinging on to Ted Sarandos' wife for dear life.
The silence in those missing photos is deafening, exposing a massive Hollywood freeze-out that the media is trying to cover up. Once you notice it, it's hard to look at the event the same way again. That's what makes the Beef Season 2 screening at Ted Sarandos' Montecito home on Friday, April 10th so interesting. While nearly every outlet rushed to focus on the chartreuse outfit and the rare public appearance with Prince Harry, the official photo record tells a very different story. The images released afterward paint a picture that deserves a closer look. And it isn't the one dominating the tabloid headlines. The official Getty Images collection, photographed by Stephanie Keenan for Netflix, contains 44 released images. Looking through them, Meghan appears in individual pairings with Ted Sarandos and his wife, Nicole. Not Don Johnson, not Michael Keaton, not Carey Mulligan, who was the featured star of the evening. Not even several other major names who attended.
Here's the detail that makes this story even more delicious. 2 weeks before this party, Carey Mulligan walked into Windsor Castle and received a CBE from King Charles, Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. Her husband Marcus Mumford was by her side. It was one of the proudest moments of her career. And then, 14 days later, the woman who left that very institution showed up at Carey's Netflix celebration wearing the same color, pulling focus in exactly the way she always does.
Getty Images removed all the pictures from Harry and Meghan Markle at that event. But I think you noticed something here, right? You can see that Carey Mulligan is wearing green. She's the only one wearing green because that was the whole point of it, that she was the star of the show and people had been told to wear black and white so she would stand out because all of these are promotional pictures. The whole show is about her. Meghan Markle.
The guest list looked like a Hollywood who's who, yet the official photo record shows remarkably few direct pairings involving the Duchess of Sussex. Here's why that matters. Official photo releases from a Netflix event aren't random snapshots thrown together afterward. Stephanie Keenan is one of the entertainment industry's most respected photographers. She covers premieres, award ceremonies, exclusive parties, and some of Hollywood's biggest nights. She knows exactly which interactions are likely to become headlines. If two notable guests spend time together for photographers, those images usually make their way onto Getty. And if those images never appear in the official release, there are generally only a couple of possibilities. Either those interactions never really happened in front of the cameras, or decisions were made about which moments would be distributed publicly.
You think this is a big victory, and that somehow all of the stories, which are factual, which is that Netflix has dumped because Was Never is the worst lifestyle brand in the history of lifestyle brands. Because what was that show called? I can't even remember. With Love Meghan was the worst piece of lifestyle TV programming in the history of lifestyle TV programming. And the fact that they even unfollowed you, Ted included, on social media.
It's such a PR move from Netflix in a way, because they know Harry and Meghan, the one thing they can get from the couple for sure is publicity, nothing else. Meghan tends to get a bit more manic when things aren't going particularly well. You can almost feel the force and emphasis by her to try and make this Hollywood thing work. And despite maybe getting an invitation, or more likely inviting themselves to this event, Harry and Meghan are not doing well in Hollywood. The future is looking quite bleak for them in the entertainment industry.
That's simply how carefully managed entertainment events often work. Before anyone jumps in with, "This is just reaching," hold on for a second. The common narrative assumes Meghan was moving around the event, mixing freely with the biggest celebrities, even competing for attention. But the official photo record doesn't really support that version. It suggests something noticeably different. Instead, the released images show Meghan posing with the host, posing with the host's wife, appearing in the larger group arrangement near the edge, and little beyond that. Rather than focusing on the dress itself, it's worth paying attention to the people she wasn't photographed with. In Hollywood, the official photo release often becomes the visual guest list everyone remembers the next morning. Don Johnson attended.
The body language here is interesting because Ted and Nicole are leaning into each other, but Meghan is leaning towards Nicole as if she's separating herself from Harry. And of course, she's here clutching Nicole's hand. And it's very strange.
Rude. And the fact that Meghan is so crazed to think that we are just going to take some really weird pictures as evidence rather than actually very in-depth reporting, which has been going on for months and months and months, and now has been confirmed by Variety, the Hollywood Bible, just shows that she really does take people for fools. And that is her problem.
Michael Keaton arrived with his partner, Marnie Turner. John Corbett was there. Nick Kroll showed up. Oscar Isaac attended alongside fellow cast members. Kaylee Spaney, Charles Melton, Orlando Bloom, Justin Trudeau, described rather awkwardly by Fox News as Katy Perry's boyfriend, were all reportedly present. Lee Sung-jin, creator of Beef, attended the celebration built around his show, while Carey Mulligan, the series' headline star, was naturally one of the evening's biggest attractions. Yet none of those names appear in an individual highlighted photo pairing with Meghan in the reporting surrounding the event. Now, it's important not to overstate that point. That's exactly where some tabloids go too far. The Getty collection included 44 distributed photographs. Meghan appears in the larger group image alongside Harry and the Sarandos family. She appears embracing Nicole Avant. She appears posing with Ted Sarandos individually. But coverage from The Hollywood Reporter, Fox News, Page Six, She Knows, and the Daily Mail didn't prominently feature any one-on-one Meghan pairing with other A-list attendees beyond the Netflix hosts. I went through the available body language coverage. I reviewed the fashion breakdowns. I checked reporting from outlets generally viewed as supportive of the Sussexes, as well as more critical publications. Looking strictly at the publicly distributed images from the Sarandos home, the pattern remains fairly consistent. Could there be a background frame somewhere among the 44 photographs where another celebrity briefly appears beside Meghan? Possibly. But when it comes to the officially highlighted, press-distributed pairings, the names that consistently appear are Ted Sarandos and Nicole Sarandos. Think about that for a moment in context. Don Johnson is a television legend whose career stretches back decades. Michael Keaton remains one of Hollywood's most recognizable actors through films like Batman and Beetlejuice, along with multiple Academy Award nominations. Carey Mulligan wasn't simply another guest. She was one of the principal stars of the project everyone gathered to celebrate. These weren't people unfamiliar with Meghan Markle. They all attended the same private gathering, shared the same venue, listened to the same moderated discussion, and moved through the same social setting. Yet the public photo record suggests remarkably little visible interaction captured for distribution. That's a different conversation entirely. It's less about Meghan stealing attention and more about Meghan appearing to orbit around the event rather than sitting at its center. Things become even more uncomfortable when looking at the image that received the most attention. Meghan embracing Nicole Avant. That photograph spread across numerous publications, but not necessarily for the reasons her supporters may have hoped. Judy James, who has spent decades analysing body language for the Daily Mail and is frequently quoted across British and Australian media, offered her interpretation of the evening's photographs. Her observations naturally represent opinion rather than established fact, but they were widely circulated. James described Meghan's behaviour during the evening as, in her words, exaggerated displayed attachment rituals. Yet the line that attracted the greatest attention involved the larger foursome photograph. James argued that Ted and Nicole's positioning as a couple created the impression that Meghan appeared almost as though she were photobombing their pose. Photobombing, that was the word used in the published analysis. Not central, not seamlessly integrated, not leading the evening's visual narrative. Instead, the commentary suggested she appeared to intrude upon the host's composition despite being an invited guest. Whether readers agree or disagree with that interpretation, it became part of the public discussion surrounding the event. Context also matters. Just 24 days earlier, on March the 17th, Variety published reporting that generated significant discussion about Netflix's relationship with Harry and Meghan. Matt Donnelly's article cited multiple anonymous sources discussing internal frustration. One source described the mood inside Netflix with the quote, "We're done." The article also reported that several insiders believed Ted Sarandos himself had grown frustrated with the partnership. The same report revisited comments previously made on the record by UTA CEO Jeremy Zimmer at Cannes in 2023. Zimmer had said, "Turns out Meghan Markle was not a great audio talent or necessarily any kind of talent." Although the quote originated years earlier, Variety referenced it again within the broader discussion surrounding the Sussexes' Hollywood standing. Viewed through that lens, the Nicole Avant embrace naturally attracted additional attention. Some observers interpreted Meghan's attendance as more than simply supporting Beef Season 2. They viewed it as an opportunity to demonstrate continued public closeness with Netflix leadership after weeks of difficult reporting surrounding the partnership. If that interpretation is correct, then the photographs carried extra importance. A handful of positive images could help reinforce a narrative that important relationships remained intact despite industry speculation. Instead, much of the conversation shifted toward the body language commentary itself. Critics argued that the images invited more questions than answers. Supporters saw a perfectly normal evening among friends. Either way, the photographs generated discussion well, beyond simple fashion coverage. And yes, the dress deserves mentioning, because nearly every competing channel focused on the exact same chartreuse talking point. That's where many commentators stopped. But looking beyond the colour reveals a more layered story. Carey Mulligan also wore chartreuse, similar colour family. Same evening, many outlets quickly framed the comparison around Meghan, supposedly drawing attention through matching tones. Yet another way to examine it is by looking at the photographs themselves, rather than simply the wardrobe. Carey Mulligan appeared alongside creator Lee Sung-jin. She appeared interacting with Oscar Isaac. She appeared within various car-centered moments involving Kayleigh Spaney and other participants connected directly to Beef Season 2. Meghan, meanwhile, was primarily shown with Ted Sarandos, Nicole Sarandos, and in broader group arrangements. Combined with Judy James's published interpretation, that became the dominant conversation rather than any supposed fashion rivalry. Another interesting detail involves designer Heidi Merrick. Meghan has worn the Montecito-based designer before, making the outfit choice appear entirely intentional rather than accidental. Everything about the evening, from wardrobe to venue to timing, looked carefully considered. Her team almost certainly knew Carey Mulligan would attend. The guest list was no secret among organisers. The event photographer was established. Every major ingredient of the evening had been planned well in advance, yet the resulting public photo package highlighted pairings with Netflix leadership far more than interactions with Hollywood's biggest stars. Whether readers interpret that as coincidence, event logistics, or something more deliberate is ultimately up to them. The popular upstaging narrative only works if the assumption is that Meghan spent the evening competing with Hollywood's biggest names for attention. Looking strictly at the available public photographs, another interpretation emerges. Rather than battling for the spotlight, she appeared focused on reinforcing existing relationships, while much of the evening revolved around the cast and creators being celebrated. Don Johnson wasn't there to compete with anyone. Michael Keaton certainly didn't need additional attention. Carey Mulligan was one of the central reasons the event existed in the first place. Looking at the official record alone, the evening doesn't necessarily tell a story about Meghan overshadowing Hollywood. If anything, it may suggest something far quieter, that many of the night's biggest names simply remained occupied with the celebration itself, leaving Meghan on the edge of the wider A-list social circle rather than at its center. The photo record starts to look very different once you compare it with the performance data that Netflix executives are believed to watch closely each week. Whether people focus on headlines or hard numbers, both became part of the conversation surrounding Harry and Meghan's partnership with the streaming giant. Public Netflix ranking data placed with Love Meghan, Season 1 at number 383 during the first half of 2025. Later, Season 2 appeared much lower in the rankings during the second half of the year, reportedly landing at number 1,217. That's a significant drop. Supporters may argue rankings don't tell the entire story, while critics say they reflect changing audience interest. Either way, those numbers quickly became part of the public debate surrounding the series and its future. Then there's Polo, the 2024 documentary centered around Prince Harry's favorite sport. The Hollywood Reporter wrote that it did not blow the ratings out of the water, with reported viewership of about 1.1 million. By comparison, some of Netflix's biggest documentary hits have reportedly reached tens of millions of viewers. Other Sussex-related productions also received attention for their reported audience figures, with Live to Lead and Heart of Invictus generating considerably smaller viewing totals than many blockbuster Netflix originals. Those comparisons have continued to fuel discussion about how successful the overall partnership has been. Questions grew louder after reports emerged about the future of With Love Meghan. In January 2026, Page Six reported that the program would not continue as a traditional ongoing series. A spokesperson for the Sussexes later told Variety that the project would instead continue through seasonal specials. Depending on how someone interprets those statements, they can sound different while pointing toward a similar outcome. Critics viewed the updated wording as a shift in messaging, while supporters described it as a clarification rather than a contradiction. Attention then turned to Meghan's lifestyle brand as ever. Reports indicated that Netflix exited its equity investment in the brand during March 2026. That development immediately prompted fresh questions throughout the entertainment industry about the future direction of the business relationship between the Sussexes and Netflix. Another report from Variety claimed Netflix still held more than $10 million worth of unsold as ever inventory, with some products reportedly distributed to employees. Whether someone views that as routine inventory management or a sign of broader business challenges, the report quickly became another major entertainment headline. Industry watchers debated what it meant, while others cautioned against drawing broad conclusions from a single report. Still, the timing ensured that the story became impossible to ignore. This wider context is why many commentators say the Getty Images photo collection from Ted Sarandos' gathering attracted so much attention. The photographs didn't emerge in isolation. They appeared during a period when multiple reports involving the Sussexes were already dominating entertainment coverage. Every new image was naturally examined through that broader lens. According to public reporting, the event took place only weeks after Variety published an insider-focused article discussing Netflix's relationship with Harry and Meghan. It also followed reports regarding Netflix's exit from As Ever. On the same day, media outlets covered legal developments involving Prince Harry in the High Court of England and Wales. Several unrelated stories converged at once, creating an unusually busy news cycle around the couple. Among the most discussed images from the evening was Meghan's embrace with Nicole Lavant. Body language experts offered different interpretations, with some describing the interaction as warm and genuine, while others viewed it differently. Those opinions remain interpretations rather than established facts, but they nevertheless became part of the public conversation surrounding the event. If that photograph became one of the night's defining images, many observers naturally began examining the rest of the Getty collection. That is where much of the online discussion shifted, not necessarily toward what appeared in the photographs, but toward what didn't. Here's the important point. None of us were present inside that private gathering. There are no publicly available records documenting every conversation or interaction that took place. Everything being discussed comes from publicly available photographs, published guest lists, entertainment reporting, and commentary from analysts. Those are the same materials everyone has access to. Even so, several observations have been repeated across entertainment coverage. First, approximately 44 officially distributed Getty photographs documented the event. Within those images, Meghan appeared in only a limited number of individual pairings, several involving Netflix executives or hosts connected to the evening. Second, published guest lists included several well-known Hollywood figures. However, individual press-distributed photographs pairing Meghan with many of those guests did not appear in the official collection. That absence has led to speculation online, although photographs alone cannot establish who spoke with whom during a private event. Third, the Nicole Lavant photograph quickly became one of the evening's most widely circulated images. Different body language commentators reached different conclusions, illustrating how subjective those interpretations can be. Fourth, Netflix Chief Content Officer Bela Bajaria publicly addressed speculation by stating, "Don't believe whatever you read. There's no juicy story here." That statement represents Netflix's official public position. At the same time, previous reporting from Variety cited unnamed industry sources expressing concerns about aspects of the partnership. Both narratives have remained part of the wider discussion, allowing readers to evaluate the available reporting for themselves. Fifth, media coverage ultimately split into two conversations. Some outlets focused on Meghan's fashion and appearance, while others concentrated on the Getty photographs and what they might or might not suggest about relationships within Hollywood. Those differing angles demonstrate how the same event can generate very different headlines depending on the publication. Ultimately, photographs provide only snapshots of a single evening. They can document moments, but they cannot fully explain conversations, relationships, or the overall atmosphere inside a private gathering. That's why the images have continued to generate debate long after the event itself concluded. Attention is now turning toward Harry and Meghan's upcoming visit to Melbourne, their first Australian tour since 2018. Reports indicate the visit will attract significant media attention, with discussions already surrounding ticket prices, security arrangements, and public interest. As with previous appearances, every speech, photograph, and public interaction is likely to be analysed from every possible angle. Whether the tour changes public opinion or simply creates another round of headlines remains to be seen. One thing is certain: interest in the Sussexes shows no signs of disappearing, and every new appearance continues to spark fresh discussion across entertainment media and royal commentary alike. If you enjoyed this breakdown, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think the official photographs told the full story? Or do you believe people are reading too much into a limited collection of images? I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you don't want to miss the next update, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.